we have record low interest rates in the US. You heard a little bit about the Fed in that previous segment, and that's the cause of that. But American private companies aren't taking advantage of them. Our next guest says they're instead able to rely on the cash they generate from operations. The depressing part, of that otherwise good news is that they're doing so without hiring workers. Sageworks analyst Brian Hamilton is here to talk about the state of Middle America's businesses in the era of Fed's quantitative easing. Welcome, Brian.
Good to be here.
So, Brian, your report says that privately owned companies have been generating, I think, something 10% annual growth.
Yeah, amazing, yeah.
I mean, that sounds pretty good. Why aren't they hiring?
Well, I don't know is the truth, right? But here's what's going on. Historically, when companies grow, there's a point at which they definitely hire. If you look back, even going back into the 1800s, as they get more efficient and they generate more cash flow, they do hire. This is unprecedented since the Great Depression, where we have so much growth but no hiring, and really no one knows the answer for sure.
Wow.
And that's even more depressing.
I mean, it is, because you've got these otherwise good news stories, and it's not filtering through to the rest of the economy. I mean, we want to see, it's why, in fact, I suppose, we still see, wage growth so anemic at this stage, and just generally, unemployment being at the levels it is.
So here is where we get into the area of guessing, right? We know for sure that the companies are growing. We know the economy is growing. Remember, almost for 4 consecutive years, our best guess at Sageworks, and I hate saying this, I know you talk about this all the time, but there's still uncertainty. It really is true. When we survey these business owners, they're not sure about what tax policy is going to be. You remember the healthcare debate for 2 years, right? All these political debates get extended, longer than they should. So when these businesses are planning for their growth or lack of growth or whatever, they can't look out and make plans. So our only guess is that there's this, not malaise, that's a 70s term, you remember that one, right? We're the same age,
We're
roughly,
same age,
right,
more or less.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
But different places, same age. But the point is that we've got this kind of malaise or muck that we can't seem to get out of, right?
Yep.
And I hate blaming the politicians for everything, because they get blamed for everything. It's easy, right? Easy targets. But really, if you look at the public policy debates, one after another, where maybe 30, 40 years ago, those would be knocked down very quickly. Right now, they're being extended. So people don't know what's coming at them.
It's almost as if just give us any policies. I mean, obviously businessmen don't want too much regulation. They'd like to have a more business-friendly environment. But it's as if the actual uncertainty and the long, drawn-out process through which Congress goes about these debates.
I've said that before, really. I mean, you look at 27 million companies in the U.S., only 4,000 or so of which are publicly traded. The vast majority of economic growth is through these privately held companies. They are sitting down, and you have to remember, their net profit is their personal cash a lot of times, right? There's only 8 million businesses with employees, so there's a lot of small businesses under 5 million in sales. So the profit they earn is what they used to eat with, right? So the point is this: they have to know what policy is coming early so they can make plans. They need a lot of runway space to make their plans. And so it's not that we want bad public policy, Michael, you know that, but good policy is definitely better than bad policy. But early policy for business owners is what is important, and that is the bell you've got to be ringing all the time to the folks down in D.C. They've got to understand.
Get on with the job, basically.
Yeah, get on with the job.
You have some numbers, I think, that point to the net profit margins that companies have had. 6.8%, I think, is what you're saying it was at the moment. That's pretty healthy as well.
Very high.
Where is this profit coming from? If there's the numbers right there. That's up from 4.5% last year. So where is this profit growth coming from when Americans don't have the jobs or the wherewithal to spend?
Yeah. So there's a trend, right? First, we saw the uptick about 3 years ago in sales. We're at 10% annual growth. That is very high, right? Then what happened is that as these businesses grew, they did not hire a lot of people, and they're also, by the way, not borrowing a lot of money. That's another story that people aren't covering. Banks are lending, but these businesses don't want to take on the overhead. So the margins are exploding right now, and it's really amazing. That's good. Now, one positive note, okay, I got to say this.
We like some positive news.
It's been working for 200 years. As businesses continue to grow, it really doesn't matter how efficient they get. We have learned that capitalism more or less works, right, most times. They get more profitable, they generate more cash, and then they look to get more profits and more cash, and they need people. So I'm not a big buyer in this whole idea that technology has basically rubbed out the need for hiring people.
Eventually we're going to get back to hiring people. That's good news.
I really do believe that.
Brian, let's leave it on that positive note then. Thank you very much for your time.
Great to be here.